So let's talk about the strategic thinking domain. It's got the themes analytical, context, futuristic, ideation, input, intellection, learner, and strategic. And it shouldn't surprise you that there's lots of debate, ironically, around these themes. Now, the debate normally lies in the fact that there is obvious correlation between these themes and the concept of intelligence. And so it shouldn't surprise you that the more the more themes someone has in the top 10, the more they appear intelligent. And in fact, the correlation between that and an IQ test is quite intriguing to have a look at, but that's another subject, another video. So the idea is behind these signature themes, the strategic thinking themes, is independent thought, the ability to look at something, examine the information at hand, make an independent decision, and then that drives independent action. Now, obviously, the counter of this means that if somebody has not many, if any strategic thinking themes in their top 10, they are tending to defer their decision to someone else. And so they will tend to trust someone, or it might be someone in authority, it might be a friend, but they will trust what has been said, what has been tried and tested, and they'll stick with that. And so what can often happen is the debate between those with strategic thinking themes saying, please think for yourself, and others saying, why do you always have to challenge the status quo? Why can't you accept what has been said before? But each of these themes are interested in analyzing information and drawing conclusions from it in different ways. The only kind of exception to some extent is futuristic, in the sense that the information it uses is a picture in its mind. It's got nothing to do with reality. So all of these use information. Futuristic has this incredible ability of visualizing some information in their mind and working off that. But they're all quite belligerent in the sense that the picture in their mind, their final picture, is something they work towards. And you have to change that picture, or aka change their minds, if they're going to change their actions. Analytical uses facts, validated data, robust information, things that are enduring and staying the same. It will not make a decision unless it is able to validate that the information used is robust and dependable. Context is similar to analytical. It will only make a decision once it understands the patterns for one reason. As it anticipates the patterns unfolding in its life, it wants to make sure that it depends on the patterns that have created positive outcomes, not negative outcomes. Ideation is this incredible ability to see connections between random pieces of information to create new ways of seeing things and understanding the world. It's quite interesting in the sense that ideation can literally see that two pieces of information can belong together. And by combining those two pieces of information, just creates something that someone has not seen. It could be insight, it could be an idea, it could be a new way of presenting something strongly associated with innovation. Strategic is similar, but it's big picture, and big picture meaning where are we going and what is the quickest route to get there. Both analytical and strategic are quite logical. Strategic functions in the sense that it intuitively will look at where we're going and then understand whether the instructions are likely to get us there. And so it'll say, no, hang on, those two do not add up. If we're going to go there, then this route does not appear to get us to the destination. So it's got this intuitive logic to it, but it's hyper efficient. And so strategic is highly independent because it likes to work things out as it goes as well. But has this intuitive sense of which way to go. So I don't know if you've ever been with somebody with dominant strategic. You'll go this way, they'll say, I don't agree, I think we should go this way. And depending on the other themes, might actually leave you alone and go on their own. But input, intellection, or learner are around understanding information and generating meaning from it. Input only wants to make a decision once it feels it's got all the information. Intellection wants to make a decision once it's looked at it from every perspective, and learner wants to understand what's the best method in order to make a decision. So each of these themes are oriented around decision making, And so it shouldn't surprise you that the more themes you've got, the more you're going to want to apply your own independent right to make your own decision. Now, depending on the domains, depends on whether you consider other people's information as a source of information, or whether you decide to go on your own and you get the information on your own bat. But each of these are going to have sort of behavioral impacts. And the most obvious impact is the more you've got in this domain, the more scatterbrained you may appear, or the more distracted you may appear, because the reality is when you're in your mind, you are not physically present. Futuristic is particularly obvious here because it's so quick to be triggered and can be lost in thought. Intellection can appear antisocial because they take a lot of time to process information, prefer to do that quietly so that they're not disturbed by the peasants who ask them lots of questions. And so the idea around this is that these are going to manifest quite significantly in the way someone behaves. Someone with dominant analytical may seem cynical simply because they take nothing for granted. Context could look too traditional. Input could look like they are never satisfied because they're always asking a lot of questions. So you can get the idea that this has quite a particular impact on their behavior. Most importantly, and I think this is the most important thing to understand, is that these are dynamic themes. They want a constant flow of information, and that information needs to be changing. If it's the same information day in, day out, they're rather frustrated. They want the chance to get new information in, process it, new results. And so they love being in situations where dynamic decision making is required. Obviously, with futuristic strategic ideation, that's very quick, whereas analytical context intellection input tends to be a lot slower. And so the flow of information also makes a big impact on the confidence of the individual. I'll unpack that in another video when I go into more of the dynamics, but suffice to say that the flow of information has a huge amount of impact on whether somebody with strategic thinking is happy or not. To put that in plain English, think of a river. If it is narrow and flowing slowly, then input intellection can process that in time, so can analytical. Whereas the other themes prefer more faster flowing context, also slow. Futuristic ideation strategic will enjoy a fast flowing river for a different reason. As I say, I'll go into that in a little bit more detail in another video. But I hope that helps you understand the strategic thinking domain and how it impacts the people around you.